Ina Millman. I think I've been drawing ever since I was 3 years old. I sold my first painting at 3 years old. I always knew I wanted to be an artist, but then when I finished school, my dad didn't want me to study art because he said that I was the cleverest girl at school. I can't go and do airy-fairy art. So I didn't know what to study. I then did psychology, and when I was doing my internship, I realized I would never be able to be a psychologist. So I said to my dad, can I study art now? And he said no. So I did languages, but then every weekend I would go and quietly study art. I went away on art weekends, art holidays, and I would do extramural courses at university. And like I do a course on portraits or a course on this. So when other people did waitressing to get money, I did people's portraits. I even went as far as posing for the art students. I was their model so that I could just learn in class and listen and hear what they were saying. And I went to all the artists whom I admired and I said to them, may I please study with you? And every single one of them said yes. So I got a very practical tuition training. And I learned a lot, and I realized a lot of people with degrees in art didn't know how to paint practically like I did. I've been painting ever since I finished university, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I was born here in the south of Joburg, and I've been here all my life. Although I do travel a lot to go and teach at different little arts societies. But you know, it does take away from my own time for painting, my own painting time. The landscape started with these artists, they've all passed on now, whom I asked to teach me to paint. And they taught me to paint from life. That was wonderful because that really teaches you to see. Landscapes are easy because you can change it. It's not so rigid like a portrait has to look like that person. Because with a portrait, you know, if you just change your nose, it doesn't look like you anymore. I'm very versatile. Unfortunately, that didn't stand me in good stead when I was younger. The galleries wanted an artist that people could walk in and say, oh, that's an Ina Millman painting, I want that. They wanted me to do more formulaic paintings. And I think in a way maybe I was a bit of a rebel. I never really wanted to just do one type of painting. I'll always explore something different, experiment with something different. But the better galleries do like that. I mean, I've got a gallery in Pretoria that supports me wonderfully. They like the fact that I'm versatile. I could never just do one type of painting because you master that and then you move on, and it's always an exploratory thing. Rembrandt is my absolute favorite, and he painted the light, that the portrait kind of emerged from the shadows, you know. That to me is wonderful, and I mean Vermeer as well, like absolutely beautiful sunlight. Their studios were so amazing. They had the north light, which here in South Africa we want the south light because it's light that doesn't move and change. I love the light. I really do love the light. I would like you to feel that I felt, that excitement I felt when I saw the light shining on the mushrooms or on the side of the face or on the landscape. How the light actually falls on things to me is just so fascinating. I love what I do. I very often burn the food because I'm busy with my painting and I forget that I'm busy cooking food. So, you know, that happens with an artist, unfortunately. Just fix that up. There we go. When you're an artist, you don't paint because you make money, certainly not in South Africa, but you do it because it's a compulsion. It's in your soul, you know, it's something you have to do. It's so wonderful that my kids learn to appreciate all the things that I love, the sunsets. They'd say, oh, Ma would really love that. Oh, look at the clouds. Ma would love to paint that. Well, like now they take photographs for me to paint, you know, which I really appreciate. In my life, I've done pottery, I've done mosaics, I've done everything. And then I realized I was only doing pottery so that I could paint on the plates. And then I realized, no, I think I need to just make up my mind what I want to do. I did embroidery, I did everything. But I decided I want to be an artist, I want to paint. I really just want to learn to paint. And every day I'm learning. started out as a watercolorist, and then when I asked some of these artists to help me, they convinced me to do oils, because in South Africa people think it's more valuable. It isn't, but people here think it is. So I then started doing oils. So for 14 years I was first a watercolorist, and then I did oils. And then about 2 years ago I started doing watercolors again. They started the International Watercolour Society in South Africa, and I thought, well, I must give it a go, because that was my first love. I entered the first coffee contest in London, and I was blown away that I made the first 50 in the world. I mean, I'd never painted with coffee before. It was my very first painting I did. And so then I started researching it, and because the first one I didn't know what I was doing, but anyway, I researched it and found out how to do it properly. Then for the next international coffee contest, I got 2 paintings accepted, which was amazing. You know, we could only enter 3. That was in Kosovo. And then in between I got that one painting in for the Art et Santé exhibition in Albi in France. That was just such a special exhibition, because they believed in bringing the world together through and healing through art. This was my very first coffee painting, and this is the one I was blown away that made it in the top 50 in the world. And you can't go and buy a tube of coffee paint, you have to make it yourself. I've experimented with lots of different things, but the best thing that works for me is I use about 3/4 of a cup of instant Nescafe granules and mix it with hot water, and then you've got to put it on the stove and reduce it. You make like a reduction. It's fun, and I love that kind of vintage look of it, like a sepia painting. I've had so many people commission me to paint their children or grandchildren. I've had a wonderful, wonderful response. It's amazing. I think people don't know coffee paintings. It's something completely different. I feel very much one with the landscape, because I painted so much from life. You know, I'd sit out there and paint. I remember the one morning a police came and said, "You can't paint here, it's dangerous." So I said to him, "Well, why don't you just protect us for 10 minutes? We're nearly finished." He wasn't impressed. But I do, you know, I'd sit there in the soil, in the sand, and it's so beautiful. That was something my brother and I had in common. We could just sit and watch the sunset, you know. And also because I had such a busy life, running the kids around and doing cooking and doing everything and trying to paint. At sunset I would like to just sit down, maybe have a sip of wine, or just sit down and appreciate it. So my kids also do appreciate it. And then I wake up at sunrise every morning, you know, to appreciate that. When I had an exhibition at Decorex, they were all these kind of African landscapes. It's more conceptual landscape, because that's not actually a landscape that exists. It's just my concept of it. So within one landscape I would put all the things that I love of Africa. The flowers, the grass, the trees, our stormy skies, and the shadows of the grasses, and put all of that together. When students come to me and ask me what to paint, I always tell them, you've got to paint something that comes from your soul. I feel that it's really important to paint something from your heart, something that you really resonate with, and therefore you want the person that's buying the painting to say, "Oh, I love that. It really has meaning to me. I love the shadow." I've seen something like that in my experience. The singer Billy Joel, he said, "You're only as important as your last song. You're only as important as your last painting." So if you're going to make a rubbish painting, people won't take you that seriously. So it's really important to just try and improve yourself all the time. Just be true to yourself. It really, really helps to be successful, because you can buy more paints, you know, so on. But that is not what it's about. To me, it's about being an artist, about really seeing and looking and painting what grabbed me about a scene. And not to forget that concept when you start painting, that it was the way the light fell over the figure that makes it so beautiful. You must remember your original concept, the thing that really grabbed you about it. I think that if you really paint from the heart, that success just comes, you know, if you work really hard at it. I've never marketed myself. My students have always told me I'm useless at it. Yeah. Success, I don't know what success is really. It's sort of, and that's how other people see you. It's like I'm a vessel, it comes through me. I can't say I just paint interiors or I just paint that. I paint everything that's beautiful, and everything is beautiful for me.